Well, for some 16 years, the notorious Bosasa company, as it was known then, received dodgy government contracts to the tune of more than 2 billion rand. But now the chickens have come home to roost. The latest Zondo Commission report recommends charging former President Jacob Zuma, Minister Gwede Mantashe and former Minister Nomvula Mokonyane for directly benefiting from their dealings with the company. Well, Heidi Giokos has more details on that report and what bribes went to who. Heidi, thank you so much for coming on air with us this morning. So you've got a former president, a former minister and a sitting minister all implicated in Bosasa graft.
Yes, certainly, Annika. And Heidi Jones is actually focusing on the individuals that have been implicated and fingered in this state capture report when it comes to Bosasa. But what I do think is important to highlight is the fact that it was very clear that Bosasa was central and key in allowing state capture to thrive in this country, especially when it came to involving the ruling party, the ANC. And what was very clear from the state capture report, and I think what we also heard from Angelo Grizzi, who basically lifted the lid on what role Bosasa actually played in all of this, is the fact that bribes were the order of the day. So as much as tenders were constantly awarded to Bosasa from various government departments, such as the Department of Correctional Services, the South African Post Office, and as well as Airports Company South Africa and other key government entities, bribes were also very much involved and very much part of, if I can call it, the business model of Bosasa. So key individuals would be highlighted or pointed out to say we could possibly bribe them so that Bosasa could get away in finding a way to get into these key government entities. So we do know that bribes amounted to over 75 million rand. Yes, it spanned over a number of years, but the fact of the matter is that you found these corrupt ANC officials that would allow themselves to be bribed. For example, you had Dodgy who would be bribed so that Bosasa could get their way when it comes to ANC officials and certain government entities and awarded these tenders. We know that she would be given Louis Vuitton bags stuffed with money, over 300,000 rand with money in. For example, Nomvula Mokonyane, we do understand that her birthday party was paid for by Bosasa. We do know when it comes to the South African Post Office, Bosasa was granted the tender to take over the security of Bosasa. And officials were bribed so that they could allow for this whole tender process to happen, even though procurement wasn't followed. So this report is over 1,000 pages, this part of the report, part 3, and it solely focuses on Bosasa because it was so integral and so central to what happened when it came to state capture and how the ruling party at the time was involved in all of this.
Heidi, what are the recommendations surrounding Dodgy?
So we do understand that the state capture report is saying, for example, those that have been directly implicated and have been accused of corruption. I mean, the evidence is clear. It's in black and white on paper. There are videos, for example, that Angelo Grizzi has provided to the commission that action need to be taken. And this is where the National Prosecuting Authority needs to come in and take action, because it's very clear that the report shows that they have been implicated, they allowed this, they allowed themselves to be bribed. So the report, there are a number of recommendations, Annika, but the report clearly says that the National Prosecuting Authority has free rein to move in because they have this report. And we do know yesterday when Heidi Jones spoke to the ID, they did indicate that they had already moved in on, for example, Angelo Grizzi and, for example, Vincent Smith, Linda MT, because of the evidence they were able to gather. But I think this report is going to assist the National Prosecuting Authority further, and they have been told by the state capture reports that they can move in because those are the kind of recommendations that have been mentioned.